Hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake. My name is Pete Selby and I am alongside Rob Hayes and Andy Moore as well. It is the For Fox's Sake fraternity and we're on the back of a humiliating, let's get it right, defeat away at Loftus Road. But we'll be talking all things Leicester and all things the defeat on Saturday, and all things maybe just maybe a little bit of a Christmas kind of a tinge to the episode as well. Mainly because I've opened a present already, and it's Leicester City based. So more on that shortly. But if you're still hunting around for a Christmas present, why not give somebody the glorious subscription to For Fox's Sake? Because from January the 1st, we'll be launching our brand new website for foxsake.news. Head over there and register your interest right now. Put your email address down on there, and it means that you'll qualify then for our fantastic discounts. And again, for the price of a pint per month, you will be able to access all of our news and views and plenty more. There's plenty of competitions, plenty of quizzes, and all sorts going on, and lots of in-depth coverage of Leicester City and Leicester City women on for foxsake.news. Okay, there's going to be lots that are free as well, including this very podcast and plenty more as well. But yeah, do make sure you'll register your interest. Head to for foxsake.news right now, and if you put down your email address, then you'll be able to gather that fantastic 20% discount for the entire year or for the first month. It depends on what you want, but make sure you do register your interest. We're looking forward to it, lads, aren't we? It's going to be great. Rob, beavering away, making sure there's plenty of content on there. And, well, the defeat on Saturday, it was... it's something that we're going to talk about, but let's just concentrate on this for fox8.news for now. I know people will be like, let's get on to the football, but let's concentrate on our brand new website. How much are you looking forward to the 1st of January? Because I can't wait. And I've just been going through it right now, just before we've come on air. And I'm looking at what you and Andy have mainly been doing, what you've been writing about. And honestly, it's fantastic. And it's a great last minute Christmas gift as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, we've had access to the sort of the beta version of the website this week for the first time, and it's excited all three of us because we've had a lot of content swimming around in our heads and on Word documents on laptops for a good few weeks now. So to actually start loading those up into the website, seeing how they're going to look for hopefully all of our subscribers, it is really, really exciting. And in terms of the QPR game, so my focus in terms of my weekly written content is going to be, as is my focus with the live shows, previewing the games coming up. So I've been doing that for the last few weeks for the website, and you'll be able to see all of those from January the 1st on for fox8.news. So my piece of writing this week was very optimistic because, Pete, you were on the preview, and we had Jono on as well. And it was probably one of the most optimistic preview shows we've had to date this season, because we thought for maybe the 5th or 6th time this season already that a corner had been turned and some momentum was going to be built. So I had a lovely time writing the preview, and then I had a less lovely time putting out some social media posts during the game. And then I'm sure my colleague Andy had an even less lovely time writing the retrospective article on the game. 5 things we learned from QPR. 5 things we learned from QPR, Andy. Do you want to pick your highlight?
Hard to pick a highlight, isn't it? It was one of those ones where you're trying to think hard about what can you say. Are there any positives? Are they all negatives? I don't think you'll be surprised to know that most of them are negatives. But there are a few positives that I looked at. A few probably not. I looked at the devil's advocate of it at some of it at some point, to be fair. I tried to balance out the negative and the positive. So hopefully we'll have a look back when we launch on January the 1st, and you'll see the balance of it, hopefully. But yeah, it was a bit of a disaster on Saturday, wasn't it?
It really was a disaster. Just touching on the website again, there's the interview with when we're looking at the Leicester City women's team are doing really well at the moment, and the big interview with Kerry Kosh and also Ellen Ellard, who's a Sky Sports commentator, and she was on the new women's football show. And make sure you check that out on all your usual channels, whether you're listening to this or watching. If you're watching live, by the way, do comment. And all the best comments will be put on screen and read out, and maybe a few of the worst as well. And I think that's where we're kind of concentrating. It was a terrible display. Now, I was fortunately shielded from the full force of this defeat by an old friend called alcohol. Now, do be careful out there over Christmas. You know, we don't want to be bigging up what I did on Saturday. But I was at a 40th birthday party. Okay, friends, and yes, I witnessed the goals going in through the cheers of many other people. We had Tottenham fans there, Forest fans there, all sorts of Chelsea fan as well. And yes, I got the full. I couldn't believe it, and it can't get. Oh, it got worse. And another one, and then just before half time, 3-0. I thought, do you know what? If we get an early goal in the second, 4-0. Oh, and that's it, and it's game over, and it's just an absolute horror show. But the worst thing is, though, Rob, I then had to go and on my own back and in my own time and through my own free will, through the fogginess of my brain the next day, I had to literally go and watch the highlights again to then come onto the podcast today and talk about it. That's not what you want to do the day after a 40th birthday.
And based on your comments in our WhatsApp group, that is not what you were in the mood for, definitely, because there was a story about what you nearly ended up doing in Tesco, which I won't say live on on YouTube and social media. No, it's not. I mean, it's a depressing enough result and performance. I think that's the important thing we've got to look at is at times this season it's looked like the performances were coming even though the results weren't, and at times we've got results when the performances weren't so good, but it just kind of, we had a hint that both were coming at the same time, and then both just absolutely disappeared in the first 45 minutes. So for then you, Pete, to be feeling a little bit worse for wear the next day and have to drag yourself through watching the highlights, always amuses me, doesn't it? When the poor Leicester City Football Club media team have to find some kind of headline to give it, or highlights is the only term really you can use a clipped up football match. But as Andy said, highlights is very much clutching at straws. I do not envy the situation that you were in on Sunday, Pete.
Oh no, it was terrible as well, and then I had to, and we know, broadcast elsewhere, and I had to do a highlights package for Southampton and their game against Coventry. I don't know whether you caught that early before Leicester's game, but the quality of the game was an awful lot higher than what we've seen down at City. They are really playing on a different level, both of them. And but when it comes to the City game, Andy, I was trying to think of an angle here of how it went wrong, and also why it went wrong. Now, the first thing is, maybe what I needed was for foxsake.news to be live, not on January the 1st, but before the game against QPR, because I needed to see the 5 things before the game and what we're looking forward to. Rob was talking about the preview, 5 things to look out for in the game. And I think I underplayed the Marty Cifuentes returning to QPR angle and the motivation that might give to Queen's Park Rangers, even though some of the players weren't there. It doesn't matter. It rubs off, doesn't it, on players if there's the base of the team were there and saying, right, we're going to do this. We're going to really hit Leicester. And also they know that Leicester are quite fragile early on, or can be. Obviously, we thought that had turned around and actually we were the dominant side. In layman's terms, and also in the way that they scored and the way that they out-battled us in the middle of the park, especially, and also out wide. I just think they absolutely smashed us, Andy.
100%. That's exactly what they did. And I don't think you can look past what the Marty Cifuentes effect was as well. He left them in quite a cloud. So they're always going to be up for it. It's going to be a baying crowd down there at Loftus Road. It's a tight stadium at the best of times. But to start that, it just had elements of the, I think it was a Sheffield United game where we were 2 down within certain few minutes kind of thing. Yes, it wasn't quite at that timings, but it just felt like that first half against Sheffield United once again, who just didn't seem to get going. We couldn't get started. Everything was going against us. And I just don't think we know when things do go against us. We just don't know how to cope with it, and we don't know how to react. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we're seeing, that we do not know how to react when things go wrong. How can we do that? What can the players do? I mean, I think we saw clips of after the third goal where I think it's Deco over Reed and Ayew are leading a huddle in the middle. By that point, it's too late. We can't be doing that huddle in the middle. That should be done either before the start of the game, knowing what's coming with all the history of the game and the Cifuentes effect kind of thing. We need to be doing that beforehand, and we need to know how it's going to be and react from the start, not wait and be retrospectively active.
Now, we're not going to look too far into the future, Rob, but I want to know your opinion on this point. Now, things can happen in football. One-off performances can happen. And I'm not saying personally, because I don't think it is a one-off performance. I think it's almost like a reality check for Leicester fans, because we got a little bit carried away, I think, after those performances, and also after the Fatawu goal as well. And why not? Because it was against one of the better sides in the Championship and against Ipswich. And of course, we're on the back of the Derby win, etc. But when a sort of defeat happens like this, I think you need to take stock. And sometimes, and over the years, I've been the person, and actually you have mainly been the person to go, hang on, everyone, let's just take a breather here. And is it one of those one-off performances? Were the goals that were scored exceptional finishes? There's a sort of thing that might happen actually for Ipswich Town supporters on the back of the game the other day, because they could turn around and go, well, Decordova-Reid's hit an absolute stunner, and then the goalkeeper's been lobbed from 70 yards. So it's that sort of performance where you would actually take stock and go, well, actually, I think we were just on the day. It was a team who have very talented players. Everything went right for them. Is that what you're thinking here with this performance, or is it something incredibly worrying that we might see maybe again and again over the next couple of games? The confidence that was built up, has it literally been knocked down Jenga tower style?
Yeah, well, the game was not one of those where it was even remotely close. I think you're right about the Ipswich argument. Ipswich, I think Kieran McKenna said it after the game. He said that game was much closer than the scoreline would suggest, and we've been undone by two absolute world-class strikes for Towers in particular. I think all of the goals against QPR were preventable. I think we were lacking in any real intensity defensively, because a lot of their goals came from wide positions where we didn't get out to the ball quickly enough. And then when the ball came in, we didn't look like we were wanting to attack the ball as much as the QPR players did. And they just basically kept doing that. They kept finding the space down the sides. They realized that Mavididi and Fatawu will track back to a degree, but are they really trying to stop the ball coming in? Not really. Are they desperate to work hard to stop fullbacks supporting wingers? No, it's not really what they're there for. They really exploited that. Luke Thomas, after a couple of of more steady games, looked massively out of his depth again, and it was just miles off. Now, your other question there was, can we put this down to a one-off, and can we write it off? No, because it happened, as Andy said, against Sheffield United, and it seems to be, if Leicester don't score in the first 10 minutes, the opposition will score in the first 10 minutes, and that essentially tells you the result of the game. That's how it goes. What I would love to see is the most boring first half of football known to man, and Leicester to get to the break at 0-0 and say, right, okay, we've not smashed them in the first half. They've not smashed us. We are just in the game. Because right now it is literally whoever scores first in the game wins. And the goals are coming frighteningly early when we've talked about on all my preview articles that you'll see when the website goes live on January the 1st. I ask 5 questions before the game, 5 things to look out for. And pretty much every single preview article has got, can Leicester stop conceding goals? Can Leicester keep a clean sheet? And we're not only not keeping clean sheets, we're letting QPR put 4 past us before half-time. It's not a one-off. That's the frightening thing. Has it sapped all the confidence built up in the last few weeks? Really, really hope not, because Christmas is a really important time. And, you know, it's almost, let's try and put a positive spin on it. Getting hammered just before Christmas, a little bit of a firecracker up the backside ready for Boxing Day. And then it is literally bang, 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 game after game after game. And if ever there is a time to develop a bit of a rhythm that we've been trying to talk about for weeks and weeks and weeks, Christmas is it. And hopefully this is the catalyst for it.
Now, apologies to you, Andy, because I'm just going to put this over you here. It's Jono. Evening, chaps. Really weird performance on Saturday. Looked like they've been out on a Christmas bash the night before. No energy. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. And also, interesting here, Dukowski says the whole club is in a state of depression. We're currently constantly being told that we have no money while having a big points deduction hanging over us. We don't have a lot to look forward to. Now, the one thing I will say about that is that I do agree with that. We've got the points deduction hanging over us, no money. The transfer window is going to be very strange, very interesting on a different angle to what we've had in previous, many previous years. First of all, regarding what Rob was saying about the performance on Saturday, Andy, how worried are you regarding this going forward? But secondly, on the points that were just raised there, first of all, it gives you an awful lot to write about come January the 1st with those points, with the points deduction hanging over us, and also a very strange transfer window we're entering, but also a very important one as well.
I'm worried because of those 2 points that have been made. So I am worried, and it's partly because of those 2 worries. I mean, let's look at the points deduction. I think I worked it out because, as you'll see in my posts on January the 1st, I put this in the QPR, what we learned from the game. If we get a 12-point deduction, we are literally level on points with the relegation zone. We're sitting above it, but we're still level on points, I think, Oxford. If we get 6 points, then we are still down in 20th. Yes, it's 6 points clear of Oxford. It's not something that you really want to be going into the second half of the season with an up and down form, with no money to be able to spend in the transfer window, which is likely to be the case. Are we going to lose anybody? I mean, some of the players off the pitch that are not getting on at the minute, your Winkses, your Fasts and things like that, they'll likely might be sold, and I think most would probably welcome that, and hopefully you'll be able to get something for them. But I mean, some of the big ones. What if Fatu goes? I mean, he was linked with Napoli earlier in the week. What if he goes? Yes, we might get a considerable amount of money, which will help towards the money situation, but it's not going to help towards the points deduction situation. And then we're going to think about what effects that's going to have on the morale of the team when probably your best player across this whole season has left. What we're going to do? Are we going to be able to invest any of that money, or is it just going to go into the coffers that is needed to be able to shore up the club? Because have we got money worries? So very, very worried time. I think these next 2 games against Watford and Derby are absolutely crucial. I think if we don't get 4 points minimum, I want 6 points. If we don't get 4 points, though, I think we are bang in the middle of a really tough situation here.
Now, when it comes to the transfer window, Rob, I'll be looking forward to hearing and reading your thoughts, as well as Andy's as well, on for Fox8.news come January the 1st, because I'm sure there will be a column or 3 regarding the transfer window, what's needed, etc., and what we can do, and any reaction to any signings, etc., or players leaving the club. It will be on for Fox8.news straight away. But when we look forward to the next games, we'll have the preview. Yourself, Rob, will be doing the preview regarding those games. Obviously, with times, etc., we'll keep you up to date. Follow us on social media at FFS Pod. Go to Facebook as well. Don't forget Instagram and TikTok as well. and we'll keep you up to date regarding those shows over the Christmas period, because of course it is slightly awkward, isn't it, over Christmas, but we're going to get them out to you. So we're going to be talking regarding the Derby game and Watford on Boxing Day on the preview itself. But Andy's right there. We're almost on that knife edge, aren't we, at the moment? We have a few good results, and I'm not talking about the overall team performance here. It is about the wider, the bigger picture. Obviously, we won't know anything about the points deduction until it comes through the post, and all of a sudden it might be -6, 9, 12, or nothing. It depends on what happens in the court of arbitration or wherever it is. When that comes through, we can then react and see where we lie in the table, etc. But it just seems that when Andy, who outlined it really well there, when we have a few results, we've still got to be looking over our shoulder at that. So it's all very well having 1 or 2 good results and looking towards the playoffs, etc. But I just think at the moment at Leicester, it's a case of getting as many points as you can and generally not really looking at where you are in the league. It's getting as many points as you can, knowing that there's no point looking upwards and there's also no point looking backwards, because we have no idea what's coming our way in the new year. Hopefully it will be sometime soon. And then once that happens, then not only us, for Fox's sake, not only the wider public, it will be the squad, the manager, the owners, the transfer budget. If the points deduction does come in January, we can then all react to what happens and then form, hopefully, a new either relegation survival bid or possible playoff bid. But we just don't know at the moment, do we?
No, and that unknown is a little bit frustrating. I say a little bit. It's very frustrating for everybody connected with Leicester, fans, the staff behind the scenes, the players, the management, the coaching staff, everybody. And you're absolutely right. This season really has to be a case of making sure we don't end up in League One. The conversation came up a few weeks ago. Jordan James said, I personally will not allow Leicester to get relegated to League One. He thinks very highly of himself if he thinks he can manage that on his own. But he also said the leadership group won't allow it. And I don't think that this squad, even with a 12-point deduction, Andy's done the maths there brilliantly for us. Even with a 12-point deduction, this squad does not get relegated from the Championship this season. Even though the results are up and down, you win, you go 2 or 3 games unbeaten, and then you get absolutely battered 4-1 by a very mediocre-ish QPR side. I don't think Leicester will get relegated this season, even if they get the maximum points deduction that people are talking about, 12 points. But nor do I think, even without the points deduction, I'm not convinced that now, and maybe this is just because I'm in a bit of a slump after the QPR game, but I don't really think we should be looking at the playoffs either, because is it achievable? I mean, possibly. With the points deduction, less achievable, obviously, but it is still very condensed in the middle of the Championship table. But then what are we going to do if we do get in the playoffs? And then what are we going to do if we accidentally win the playoffs and get ourselves promoted to the Premier League? We will be in a world of trouble, because the financial picture's not going to improve overnight. We're not all of a sudden going to have a Premier League ready transfer kitty. We're looking at the players that are currently representing Leicester City going, you are capable of a mid-table finish in the Championship, with a manager that is capable of a mid-table finish in the Championship. I'm almost sitting here now, and it's very much more doom and gloom, way more doom and gloom than it was on the previous show a few days ago. I'm sitting here thinking, let's just make sure that we're not in either zone. Make sure we're wedged in that middle section, get to the summer. Hopefully by then the change in directorship and at the top has made a difference. Hopefully by then the new technical director's in place and been able to implement something. Hopefully by then we can find a manager that's better than finishing 15th, 16th in the Championship like Martí Cifuentes. And then we can have a decent go next season once things have settled down a little bit. For me, this is very much about let's get a mid-table finish wedged in there, and let's make sure it's safe.
Well, John O kind of agrees, really. Says, why is the point deduction taking so long? Should have been sorted by now. So we know what we're dealing with. And also saying that he's not Marty out now, but clearly not the future either. New director of football needed and a new manager next season. But obviously, new manager next season depends on which possible league that we might be in. You never know. You never know. I'm always been one of them people, though, who, you never turn down a promotion. A lot of people say, and Rob just saying there, Andy, that and then this is a little bit fanciful, but let's turn it towards a little bit of possible good news if we're going to go on some kind of run. I think if you do get promotion in any way, shape, or form, you've got to take it. Sunderland are a prime example because they got promoted. Yes, they had 3 or 4 very good young players, but from Sunderland supporters, some well-known football journalists or Sunderland supporters, they were very pessimistic when they got promoted about their chances. But because they bought extremely wisely and it looked like with a real plan, it looks like they're going to survive and not only that, but thrive in the Premier League. So it's very, very awkward. I think it's awkward to talk about, and it's awkward to kind of to look at the situation because of what possibly could happen. It's strange talking about a side who all of a sudden went on a run of good performances, great goals, and looking upwards, knowing that there's a possible points deduction, and then you're going to get thrashed every now and again as well. The one problem that I have with this defeat, though, if we turn back to the actual QPR performance, Andy, is the confidence knock, because we've seen it take a long time to come back. And Watford, and again, we're not really going to preview that because we've got the preview coming up, but they surely will be looking at Leicester and going, as much as Leicester have started quite well in the previous, say, 2 or 3 games, surely this is a side to get very, A, physical with, and B, very early. And from what I know with Watford, and we all know that I work with a lot of Watford supporters, and what I hear from them, and also from what I've seen through doing highlights in the Football League, Watford, they can be a very physical side. And one thing that they have, which we definitely don't have, also is pace.
I think you said the word earlier, the plan. I think we're going to have to really set the tone on Boxing Day, and we're going to have had a plan over these last few days since they're back in training. Because if we don't, and they come at us and they're all over us, then we are in a world of trouble. I do think Boxing Day is probably the crucial one. It might be both games might be really, really crucial, but if we have another episode, shall we call it, like Saturday, then it's starting to get to that untenable area kind of thing. I'm very much a Marty in person. I spoke to one of my friends, I think, on one of the posts I posted the other day, and he said, who else is going to come in? Who's going to get the best out of these players? I 100% agree with that, and that's why I'm still Marty in. But there is that element as well. You know what? He's not probably the long-term answer for us. So if we carry on having these more consistent blips and we're not going to go back to how we were the last couple of games, then it's going to be one of those things where you think, you know what, pull the trigger, which is why I think these next 2 games are absolutely vital, not only for the points deduction that I spoke about earlier, but it's the long-term element of it. I think that's what we'll call it. Who is the right person for this job? It's Marty's at the minute. He's doing okay-ish. I don't think he's the long-term answer, but the state we are at the minute, nobody's going to want to come here anyway. So let's just try and build that confidence and get back to playing how we were for the last 2 games.
Evening to Planet Earth. On Saturday, first goal, QPR, 3 players on our 6-yard line. We had 3 players marking, and Vestergaard failed to clear. Yeah, Ricardo, who had a nightmare, wasn't a goal side of the scorer. Whose tactics are these? And then we're mentioning about the optimism. 4 points off 6, still doable, yes, but that 4 could turn into maybe 16 points, but we shall see. We shall see. I'm getting a little bit of a deja vu here, Rob, because after Watford, I believe Derby, and I think it was 2 games, maybe a game before Derby last time around, where I sat here and I said, if Leicester lose their next game and then go to Derby and get beat, I think that's it for Marty Cifuentes. And I'm going to say it again. Completely agree with Andy. If we get beat on Boxing Day and then Derby come to the King Power and beat us, I think then, because of the time as well, because obviously there's transfer window, etc., I think they will make a change. Do you agree with that? Do you think, how many games do you think Marty's got left if we have another damaging defeat, or 2 or 3 or 4?
I mean, if I was running the football club, unless things took an absolutely disastrous turn based on the previous point that I made, I would leave him there till the summer, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think that we are in as powerful a position as a club as we have been in the past, where pulling the trigger on another manager is going to make a huge difference. We've spoken many times on the podcast about the fact that the problems at the club are much more deep-rooted than the manager. He seems like a decent bloke. He seems like a decent-ish championship manager. And ultimately, I don't see anybody else coming in and making a difference. They might come in and get the new manager bounce for a couple of games, whatever. But if we're already talking about this being a really tough transfer window, then bringing in somebody who doesn't know the players that they've got to then try to make decisions probably last minute, let's be honest, it's not going to be Leicester get their transfer business wrapped up nice and early. It doesn't happen for Leicester, and it certainly doesn't happen in January. So I think you need somebody who knows the squad inside out, like Cifuentes does, who should by now, let's be perfectly honest, we're like 9-10 days away from the window opening. So they should already have a recruitment plan in place. They should have identified targets who are possibly going to be available within budget. And he said today, Marty Cifuentes, that he's only going to be bring players in who will make a difference to the squad right now. And that's an important point. He's also said no players have asked to leave, which I find very interesting, because if you're Harry Winks, you're probably not going to want to sit and stagnate for another half a season. Same with Wout Fass. If he's got any hope of getting back in the Belgium squad, he's not going to be wanting sitting warm in the bench for an academy graduate like Ben Nelson. So I think if the deals are right, some ins and outs, but I personally don't think dragging a new manager into the middle of all that is a good short-term strategy, let alone medium or long-term.
I think the point I've got here is if it's really disastrous, like you mentioned, and it does go 2, 3, 4 games where we're really struggling and getting heavily beat, conceding a lot, do you not just stick it on someone like Andy King, let him do it for the rest of the season? Somebody who's been there, knows the club from when it was what it was. I arc back to my point that I went to the show at the De Montfort Hall a few weeks ago with Wes Morgan and Danny Simpson and Robert Huth and Mark Albrighton, and they all said that they'd all offered to put their input into the Leicester City, but they've had no contact from the club at all. So do you just not try and like get into that old school style from back in the day when we were Premier League champions and try and involve some of those guys who knew how to create some kind of togetherness in the squad kind of thing, and so just stick it on Andy King for the rest of the season and see where we are come then kind of thing, and see where we are and can we move forward with either him or somebody else that might be doing a better job than anybody, really.
Yeah, I think it'd be the only option. If Cifuentes goes, King's the only option for me. You don't bring in an outsider. I think it's completely pointless.
Well, yeah, we've got a few more comments today. He says, QPR has found a managers out there, but we look for British-based managers. We never look abroad. And then saying, how does giving a new manager the January transfer window when he'll have no idea of what he has to work with, if Swens is on a tightrope, then sack him now, which I think kind of leads into the point you were kind of making. And if you've got someone like Andy King there and Rob Gray, and we've mentioned his name before, and we're not here sitting here saying that Andy King will change everything for the best, etc. But what we know is that there's a guy there who knows the club inside out. He'll know all the youth players as well. And you're looking for an example as well. can this work? Well, again, I'll just reference the club down on the south coast called Southampton. They sack their manager, they promote the reserve manager or assistant manager, and all of a sudden they've completely changed. And that's something that has stuck. Okay, that's not what it wasn't a flash in the pan. It wasn't a 1 or 2 game upturning performances. The whole club has completely changed. And in my opinion, I think they are the second best club in the championship and will probably finish second. I know they're still way off that, but that's how much things can turn around. So maybe Andy King is behind the scenes like that, trying to, biting his tongue, biting his fist because he wants to change things around. It might not be the case, but I really do agree. I think that would be the move as well. And also, I'm not saying that Andy King would be a yes man, but also he would understand the club inside out, as in if there is an issue with the finances, I don't think he would kick off about it. I don't think he'd be very happy, but he would understand it because he's been here for so long, etc. And also that he might be told a little bit more than maybe Marty Cifuentes. But it's a very difficult situation. And as we sit here a few days before Christmas, Rob, I want to just try and turn a few frowns upside down. Okay, throw those fun sponges out the window. Let's look a little bit more positively. Okay. First of all, I've opened already my first Christmas present. It was a work Secret Santa, and it's a Leicester City gnome. Okay, we made a little appearance earlier. I don't know what I'm going to call him. I mean, he's got his head on the ball, so it's not Yannick or maybe Volt. I don't know about that. That's going on the wayside. But what I want a message of Christmas cheer to Leicester City fans out there. Rob, like what do we have to look forward to, okay, at Leicester? What glimmers of hope, maybe nothing from the weekend, but can supporters look forward to from Christmas onwards and especially into the new year?
2 things from me. Number one, for foxake.news. What a brilliant New Year gift for all Leicester City fans. January the 1st, the website's launching, in case you've not heard. The second thing for me is that we can look forward to once again having more games in our season in the 26-27 season, because we're still going to be firmly in the championship. So just looking forward to more football, more Leicester, more ups and downs on the Leicester roller coaster. Neither of those 2 things are positive relating to the football team, I know, but that's all I've got on the spot.
Andy, go on then. If I was a Leicester fan down in my dumps, going for a Christmas pint, sitting in front of the log fire because it's going to get cold in the local, etc. You're down the Black Swan in Shepshed, and you sat there and you're going right, and you walk in and I go, Andy, cheer me up. What we've got to look forward to at Leicester? Go on. What's the bright star in the sky wearing a royal blue shirt?
Of course, number one, obviously, as Rob said, is For Fox's Sake News going live on January the 1st and all the work that we're putting into it. Number 2, I'm of the hope that we've already hit rock bottom, and though we might just be teetering above it, we've hit rock bottom already, and we are on our way back up on a very slow climb. I'm hoping that, as Rob says, I don't want to go up. I don't want to go down. I'm quite happy being middle of middle, very vanilla, and being in the championship next season with a team that is highly changed. There's not many of them around. Obviously, I keep a few of them, but not many of them, with a positive attitude, a different character in the squad. And I'm not going to say it, but maybe an ownership group that might sound a bit more interested. There you go. I did say it. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to concentrate on the bright sparks in the Leicester side, and I'm going to look at what we have out wide. Obviously for Tawu and Monga, and I want to see Monga more, obviously back from his injury, and hopefully if we are looking towards mid-table obscurity after getting a few points taken off us, and it's right, the promotion campaign is out of the window and we get a few wins, and it means that we are going to be mid-table. Maybe someone like Monga will be given more start time, and I don't want to say add a few pounds onto his shoulders, but you know what I mean. He's going to go for a lot of money at some stage. So yeah, look at the talent that we've got in the side. If we're looking overall at a bigger picture, I hope that, and Marty Cifuentes has said that there is a plan for the January transfer window, and I want to see plenty of movement in and out. I want to see, and you mentioned what was first of all. He's the sort of player who needs to leave. If he's going to play for Belgium in the World Cup, then surely he's going to have to go. I would like to see him and Winks and these players leave, okay? Because carrying Deadwood is no good, and carrying that sort of those sort of wages as well is no good. And what I want to see is people coming into the side or into the squad who are proper hard championship players, okay? Nothing for the Premier League. But if you go back to 2014-15, or 2013-14, should I say, you had players who were playing for Leicester who you knew wouldn't make it, in the Premier League, but they were maybe slightly overweight, but really, really strong players who maybe could do the last half an hour, or maybe could get Leicester a decent position in the game. And I think we could just do with filling a squad of those. You know, you're talking like 2 or 3 players, but hardened players, maybe towards the back end of their 20s, etc., who just know what the Championship is about. And also, and mainly, and this is something that obviously Nigel Pearson really did count, and Martin O'Neill as well, they have a brilliant attitude, and that's what I want. I want to see the attitude change of this side. That's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, players coming in to change the attitude, and hopefully bring a bit of a turnaround in Leicester's fortunes and let those star players that we have flourish. Away from that, I hear that there's a website called www.forfoxsake.news starting on January the 1st. But I would like to see those type of players. I'm trying to think of a player's name that comes to mind, like a St. Ledger or a Taylor Fletcher or someone like that, or maybe even like a Kevin Phillips. Andy?
Stevie Howard.
Yeah, Steve Howard. Steve Howard was exactly the kind of player in my head. Yeah, I'm basically thinking most of the pundits that they have on LCFC TV, Steve Howard, Steve Walsh, Jerry Taggart, Matt Elliott, that style of player. And I totally agree with you, Pete. It's not just going to make a difference on the pitch either. It's going to drive standards on the training ground as well. It's going to say, look, if you're not pulling your weight, I'm calling you out on it. If you're only putting 80% into this training session, I'm going to leave one on you and let you know that this is not on, because as we always say, the minimum we expect from Leicester is maximum effort. And if even if you are putting it in, but you're not, you've got to show it. You've got to put in a tackle. You've got to run a little bit harder. That's the base level. And you're right, Pete. It's like, sack off the technical ability, but your problem is Cifuentes is not that kind of manager. If they can't play out from the back and play neat 5-10 yard passes, he's not going to be interested.
Yeah, that's what I hope, and obviously that encourages the other players to then flourish. Your Fatawas, your Mongas, etc. And maybe if we're being greedy, why not? Maybe even a centre forward who can actually score a goal, because I don't think we've got one. That'll be nice under the Christmas tree. Final words then out there for Leicester City fans listening or watching for Fox 8. Make sure that you do subscribe also to our YouTube channel, and you do realize that you can listen to us audibly as well. We can listen through Spotify, through Apple Podcasts, through SoundCloud. It's all on there, every single episode, whether it's for Fox 8, whether it's the preview, whether it's the women's football show, or whether it's the Champions or the FPL show. There's plenty here for Fox 8, and you'll be able to access all those through our new website for fox8.news from the 1st of January. So if you do want to listen, maybe you're out for a jog to burn off the turkey over Christmas, then you can listen to us as well as watching us on YouTube. But from myself, have a very, very Merry Christmas. And we'll be back with the preview. You'll be able to listen to the preview or watch the preview before Christmas. But have a great Christmas, and fingers crossed for Boxing Day. Rob Hayes, your final message before Christmas. First of all, happy Christmas to you, Rob.
Happy Christmas to you, Pete. Happy Christmas to everybody watching and listening. Although this feels a little bit premature, because the preview will be with you tomorrow. We are previewing the Boxing Day game against Watford tomorrow, so you will see me one more time or hear me one more time before Christmas. But Merry Christmas, everybody, and hopefully we've managed to spin the negativity on the QPR game ever so slightly. And
Andy, if you're not on the preview tomorrow, have a very Merry Christmas. I look forward to reading and hearing your thoughts from the 1st of January on for Fox8.news. Your last thoughts.
Merry Christmas, first of all, lads. A short and simple one for me. Keep the faith. That's what we keep saying. It's been our motto for a long time. Keep the faith. Times will get better. Come on, we're gonna be all right.
There you go. Positive words from Andy up the city, and we'll speak to you tomorrow on the preview.